Bit of a surprise joining us here on stage, the one, the only Gina Norris. Let's hear it for Gina. So how happy are you guys to see a crowd this big on a Sunday morning for you?
Great. That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. You're my friends. These are all my friends right here.
Now, Chuck, you filmed many years of Walker, Texas Ranger right here in North Texas, out in Las Colinas, in the suburbs, all over the place, using local crews and staff. What did you enjoy most about shooting in North Texas?
Well, I would say, in 1982, I did a movie called Silent Rage, here in North Texas. And I fell in love with this area. And so when I was invited to film Walker, Texas Ranger, I asked to do the film here in North Texas. And CBS agreed. Everyone who worked on my series was incredible. These guys were the best, you know. And I tell you, the only reason I quit the series, because I went 8.5 years on Walker, Texas Ranger.
203 episodes.
Huh?
203 episodes.
Yeah. And anyway, my wife got pregnant with twins.
Overachiever.
And anyway, but what happened, she started becoming very serious. I had some problems with herself and the twins. And so I said, you know, I'm going to have to be there with my wife to help these children come through safely. And because there was a famous doctor in California that refers to things like that. So I said, we're going to have to move to California. Well, she already had her doctor here in Texas.
I wanted our twins to be born in Texas!
But this doctor was so important that I said, no, we're going to go there and be with this doctor. So we moved to Tarzana, California, and she started going to this doctor. And so then, thank God, I did. Anyway, during the time, all of a sudden I get a call, George W. Bush, to come to Washington, D.C. and sit up with him on the
dais.
And with him. So she says, well, why don't you go? It's only for one night. I'll be fine in one day. I said, you sure? She said, yeah, why don't you go ahead, go. So I do. I fly from California to Washington, D.C., sit up on the thing with the president. And so as he's talking to all the thousands of people and all this stuff here, I'm there, and all of a sudden, a man comes up and whispers in my ear and says, your wife has to go to the hospital.
Yeah, I went into preterm labor. I guess I missed him already and wanted him to come home.
What did you have?
I just went into preterm labor. That's okay.
Preterm, just that. Anyway, I get up, I'm sitting there, I get up, and I walk off. Without even saying anything to the president.
Secret Service didn't tackle you or anything.
Anyway, yeah. So anyway, I flew home and took care of this, and then and then again. So I didn't ever leave again. That was it. I said I'm staying here until the babies are home. And so she's like, how far along, baby, when you had the problem again?
About 31 weeks along.
You had about 3 months to go.
I was about at 31 weeks. No, yeah.
Before the babies are due.
They were almost 8 weeks early.
But anyway, we go to this doctor, and he has a special...
So the doctor, his name is Dr. Gregory Devore, and A lot of you may know his name. He's world famous for solving the case with the Lacey Peterson. Does anybody remember the Lacey Peterson case where she was pregnant with the baby and they were trying to find out if the husband was the one that had murdered her? Anyway, it was the expert witness was Dr. Devore that was able to tell how old Connor was. They named the baby as Baby Connor, that they were able to tell exactly how old the fetus was, or the baby, when he was born. So this was the doctor that was caring for me. He was that good, and he was right to move me. Believe me, I went kicking and screaming out of Texas to go to California. But he was able, at 31 weeks, we go in and he checks me, and he had just gotten a new machine. For any of you women out there that really, you probably already know this now because it's not new technology today, but then it was a 3D ultrasound to where you can see the babies, you can see eyelashes, you can see exactly the way they look. In fact, Dakota, one of our twins, he looks just like his dad, you could tell already. In the picture, my mother-in-law goes, "Oh look, he looks just like Carlos, he's got his nose." But anyway.
So anyway, the doctor says, get her to the hospital. She's having the babies right now. So man, off I went. So we wound up having our twins, a little boy and a little girl, Dakota and Danny. So
they're 16 now, but as you say, you did another episode of Walker after that. You did the 2-hour special. Everybody remember the 2-hour special? How many of you would like to see what happened to Alex? So she's left laying on the floor after she got shot. So a lot of people would really like to see, I think, the show come back. We get a lot of requests for Walker to come back.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people call and ask me how I got started in Tong Sudo. And so I said I joined the military in 1958, and I was soon sent to Osan, Korea. I started, I never, you know, at that stage, I knew very little about any kind of martial arts at all, except judo. I knew what judo was. So I started training in judo from Mr. An in Osan, Korea. I knew nothing about any other martial arts. Never heard of anything. One day I went out for a walk through Osan village, which is where I was stationed. I looked up on a hill and saw 3 Koreans throwing kicks in the air. I walked back to base and I asked Master An what it was the Koreans were doing. An said it was Tong Sudo. I told Master An that I would like to train in Tong Sudo as well as judo. So An took me to meet the chief instructor, Shin Jae Chul. I began training Tong Sudo on Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, 6 days a week, 5 hours a day. And then on Sundays, I would train judo for 4 hours. When I left Korea, I was a black belt in Tong Sudo and a brown belt in judo. So, well, Chuck, that's how it all started.
You learned these disciplines. Can you tell us a little bit about your world championship fight? Who was this toughest match you ever had competing?
Oh yeah, I had a lot of them, but I'll mention one that really worked me over. In 1967 and 1968, I had won the international championship. I'd won about 140 champions, but the international was the biggest. After winning those 2 years, the promoter, Aaron Banks, of the world title, which is the professional. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, the promoter, Aaron Banks, asked me if I would like to fight in the world championship, fighting Luis Delgado, who is an incredible fighter. I know him personally, and he is one heck of a fighter. I said, yes, I would love to fight for the world championship. It was being held at the, which one, the Madison?
I think it was at Madison Square
Yeah,
Garden.
Madison Square.
Madison Square Garden.
In New York, Coliseum. There was over 18,000 people at the event, including Bruce Lee.
Oh, wow.
It was one of my most hard fights. When I finally did win, I had a cracked jaw, and Delgado had a broken arm.
Chuck, how did you get that cracked jaw? What did he throw at you?
What did he do? Did he kick you?
Spinning heel kick.
Spinning heel kick.
Spinning heel kick, right there.
Well, how'd you break his arm?
I put him under, I took him down, and I elbowed him in the arm, his arm. We're just being nice.
Well, Chuck, you bring up Bruce Lee, and I'm a big fan of yours, and I'm also a big fan of Bruce Lee. I practice Jeet Kune Do, his mixed martial art.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit about your relationship with Bruce Lee, how that came about, and how he helped you with your career?
Yeah, well, Bruce and I, started working out together, and I would teach him my style of martial artist, and he would teach me his style. So we were learning all aspects, because he was a general guy, man, just great. And then one day Bruce called me. He was a stunt coordinator for a film called The Wrecking Crew. There is a role in it that I think you would be perfect for. I said, really? Sounds good to me. And
Here's a job.
yeah, because I'd never done anything. I'd never done anything before in my life as far as movies go. And then I said to him, I said, can you tell me what I will be doing? He says, yes. You will be protecting Elkie Summers and fighting Dean Martin. I said, so I'm thinking, well, I don't know Elkie Summers, but I know Dean Martin. I've known him for several years. But on the Wrecking Crew film, I have to throw a high spinning kick right over his head. As we were getting ready to fight, I asked Dean how low he was going to bend, how far he's going to bend over.
I mean, he was a tall guy.
Yes. So I will know where to throw my spinning high kick. Dean showed me how low he will bend over. I said, that is perfect. We start the fight, and I throw my spinning kick to the area Dean said he was going to bend. But he didn't bend. He didn't bend over like he said he would do. I kicked in the shoulder, sending him flying across the room. So I go running over to see if he was hurt. And he's such a cool guy. Anyway, he gets up off the floor and said, and smiled at me. And said that he was fine. I'm fine, I'm okay. I said to Dean, are you going to bend over the next time? He says, absolutely. So we did the scene again, and it turned out okay. But after we did that, I was talking to Bruce, and I went over and we worked out the next day. He says, I'm leaving tomorrow. I'm going to Hong Kong, and we won't be able to work out again anymore. So I'm going to be doing some movies in Hong Kong. I said, well, that's great, Bruce. Good luck. So anyway, he leaves. So I don't hear anything from Bruce for 2 years. 2 years, I hear nothing. Then one day, out of the blue, I get a call from Bruce. He says, I've done 2 movies in Hong Kong, and they're really excited, and everyone loves it. He says, I want to do a movie now with a fight scene that no one has ever seen. The best ever be seen on film. And I want to do it at the Colosseum in Rome. And he said, I want you to be the opponent. So I still held the world championship at that time. So kiddingly to Bruce, I said, well, Bruce, who wins? No, kiddingly. He says, I win, I'm the star. I said, I figured as much, because you want to beat the world champion. He says, no, I don't. I want to kill you. So anyway, I go to Rome, and Bruce and I do the big fight scene. And we trained so much over the years that we didn't have to work out a fight scene. We knew exactly what to do.
I had never heard that before until just recently. He said that, and I mean, it's really unheard of. They didn't have to choreograph it at all. I mean, for a successful fight scene,
I just said,
has to be
okay, I'm gonna throw
choreographed.
this, and this, and this, and he said, I'm gonna throw this and this, and we just went at it. Just went right at it.
You do enough sparring with a partner, you get used to their tells. You get used to anticipating what they're throwing
what
at
happened.
you.
Plus we knew each other well.
But everybody really wanted to know, did he really pull out your chest hairs?
And everyone calls, because he does this thing where he pulls the hair out of my chest.
Oh!
And I said, Bruce, don't pull the hair out of my head. Pretend it, but don't do it.
What would have happened?
But anyway, I said, Bruce, if you pull the hair out of my head, we're really going to start fighting for sure. Kidding me. But anyway, everything went great. And then when he winds up killing me, he says, when I kill you, I'm going to lay your gi across your body and your belt up there. So you're not, so it shows us that we still love each other as men. I said, well, I really appreciate that. And so that's how everything went with Bruce.
Tell that one story after Bruce Lee had passed away. His wife Linda and their kids moved close to you.
Yeah, when Bruce died in 1973, they sent his body to Seattle, Washington, for him to be buried there. So I called my friends Steve O'Connell and several of the men that Bruce Lee had trained with, dropped with, and we all flew to Seattle to be there when he's laid down to the ground. And Linda says, we're going to move to California, and about an hour from where you live. No, about a half hour where you live, because I'd like my kids, Brandon, to be able to be associated with you since his dad is gone, and he knows you so well that that you can still stay with him and help him, which I did for years. I would work with him until he became an actor himself.
So Brandon and Michael Norris became really good friends, and one day Brandon Lee and Mike Norris were down on the pier, and some guy was down there. I hope I tell this story right. Anyway, some guy was down there, and they ended up introducing themselves to this guy. He says, hi, I'm Mike Norris, I'm Chuck Norris's son. And then Brandon goes, yeah, and I'm Brandon Lee, I'm Bruce Lee's son. And the guy goes, yeah, right, get out of here.
Yeah, the guy said, I don't believe that. Anyway, they come home, they said, no one would believe us, that you and Bruce about us being your sons. I said, well, I guess I wouldn't figure it out either.
Well, one little quick one about Bruce. What was the attack of his that he would throw at you that was the nastiest? Did he have a nastiest punch, a nastiest kick?
Well, through all of us training, as you noticed, he could kick as well as I could. When we first started training, he believed only kicking below the waist. And so when we started training together, I said, well, Bruce, that's good, except you should be able to do it anytime, anywhere. Not those spinning kicks and hit the bags and all this stuff here. And in 6 months, he could do the same thing I could do,
And didn't you say that if he were like a professional fighter, like you had done, he probably...
Well, I said to Bruce, I said, if you wanted to become a professional fighter, a championship fighter, you would be a champion on your own. He said, yeah, but that's not what I want to do. I want to be an actor. And that's what I want to do. So, but I said, well, I can understand that. And, but the only reason how I got in the film was through Steve McQueen. When Bruce was gone, after he died, I started teaching Steve. And when I retired as the world champion, in 1974, Steve says, well, what are you going to do now that you're no longer fighting? I said, well, I'll just concentrate on my schools, teaching. He says, well, have you ever thought about being an actor? I start laughing. I says, I've never done anything in my life. I've never done anything in high school or anything.
Not a play, nothing.
So anyway, he said, well, I would say give it a try. So anyway, I said, so once I make up my mind, that's my thing. Once I decide on something, then I'm going to go for it with all my everything. So anyway, I thought about it, and I said, I'm going to give it a try. And so the first thing I do, I'll never forget this. I go to a thing where everybody's trying out for a part, for one part. I'm in there with like 100 guys in there, and a lot of them I know. I recognize them. And I said, I wonder if I can get a picture from them. And I'm trying to do the same, get the same part they are. I said, this is not going to work. So I wound up writing my first movie called Good Guys Wear Black. So I wrote that myself. So I hauled around Hollywood for 4 years trying to get someone to buy that. Finally, one of my best friends says, I know somebody you need to talk to. So I did, and he wound up picking me to do this movie. So we wound up doing the movie, and that was the beginning of my career.
Well, now you did not stop learning when it came to martial arts. What got you into jiu-jitsu? When did you decide to add this to your resume, as it were?
Well, through my years, as I'm competing, I've trained with a lot of Japanese instructors, Dr. Nishiyama, Fumio, many of them. I've trained with a lot of top instructors, and plus I was a black belt in judo. And so after I did a film, I said, "What? I'm going to go somewhere. I need a break." So I went to Rio.
That's a good place to take a break.
Yeah, in Brazil. And when I got there,
What year was that?
in 1987, this is 1987, and while I was there, I decided to check out the martial arts schools and work out with them. Several schools asked me if I had met the Gracie family, local jiu-jitsu icons. If you know who they are, the Gracies are the best in the world. I had never heard of them, but I would like to meet them. Can you tell me where their jiu-jitsu school is located? I went to the school, and the first person I meet is Helio Gracies. That's the father, the head leader. He is the father of the clan, who is a small man in his mid-70s. I then met Hickson, who is the world jiu-jitsu champion. And so I started working out with him. I have trained with many martial artists, but no one worked me over like Hickson did. I mean, the guy was incredible. I said, this is horrible. I've never been treated like this before. Then Helio Gracie wanted to grapple with me, the little guy. So I began grappling, and I was able, of course, he's only a little, 140 pounds, so I was able to get him on top of him, get him in the grappling hold. When I did, Helio told me to punch him. I said, "Sir, I am not going to punch you." He said, "Oh, no, it's okay. Go ahead and punch me." I go, oh man. So I kind of bring my hand up. So I raise my hand up, and
Attention executives, please don't forget to take advantage of the advanced
that was the
rates.
last thing I remember. I was completely out of cold. He choked me in cold.
Choked you
unconscious. I was ground.
Please don't forget to take.
So Mr. Gracie had choked me out when I came out. Mr. Gracie said he did not mean to put me into unconsciousness. Yeah, I didn't mean unconscious, put you in unconsciousness. I said, that was quite an experience. So Mr. Gracie smiled and said, Chuck, I want you to stay here with me in Rio. I want you to train with my sons and me. I will make you an incredible jiu-jitsu fighter. Now, I would have loved to have been able to do that, but I was getting ready to start a film, and very, very soon. But I did continue training in California with one of his sons. And also, I trained with the Machado brothers, who are the cousins of the Gracies. In fact, Carlos Machado has a school right here in Dallas.
Yeah.
And when I was down here, I used to train with Carlos all the time when I was doing Walker, Texas Ranger. And so, but it was, I now hold a 3rd degree in jiu-jitsu.
Now, I feel like I've got to ask, what's your favorite fight that you did on film? There's got to be one that's way above the rest.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of fight ones, but I would have to say that the fighter I did with Rick Prieto in a champion match in the film, a movie called A Force of One. And man, we were going at it just like I did as a professional. But Rick was an incredible guy. He's one of my black belts anyway, and so we just get in there and just did some great combinations, and it was a great one to do.
Well, then let me ask, what would you say was the hardest action scene that you did in your career? Is there one that was the most challenging?
This is definitely the hardest. I would have to say that the movie Octagon, where Richard Norton from Australia and I do a fight scene that was very difficult and dangerous. You have to see the movie Octagon to see it, see what Richard and I do, but it is one heck of a movie.
A lot of grappling, a lot of kicks, punches. What kind of stuff are you guys throwing at each other?
Oh my gosh, same thing. Spinning heel kicks. I do a jumping up, spinning around, and just another spinning heel kick, and knock Richard down. But he had sickles, these things, and I had a bow, and so we'd be fighting, and all of a sudden he'd knock me down. When I go down, he had his size. He's going to go after me. Well, I bring my staff up and block it. And so anyway, we do it one time and it went off really good. So the next said, let's do it again. That's really good, let's do it again. So we do it again. And this time I catch it again. Now he said, okay, one more time. So we go through it again. He knocks my feet out from under me as I go down. So goes my wall, my stones. And he comes down like this, and I don't have anything. And he comes and goes, he stops right there. I said, thanks for stopping, Richard. So these are things like that happened. Of course, you won't see it on film, of course, but those are things that happened that could have been pretty dangerous.
Now, Chuck, you've stayed in outstanding shape for quite some time. Can you give us some advice? Give us a little bit of insight into your daily workout routine.
Well, what I still do, I have a big gym at my home in the ranch. We have a house in Navasota, which is where we really live. We have a 1,000-acre ranch there, and so I have this huge gym that I work out in.
He really does train all the time, guys. He really does.
And so 3 days a week, I do my strengthening, do the things for my strengthening techniques. And then I have one section of the room for my strength training. And then another section of the gym for my martial arts section.
And so total gyms. He's got like 3 or 4 total gyms all over the place.
Yeah. And so anyway, so then I do my work on those 3 days, and then on Sunday, I take it easy.
We even have a total gym in our bedroom, believe it or not. I mean, it's not like in the bedroom, but it's off the bedroom.
In fact, when my wife and I went on a vacation, when we got married, it was 23 years ago, we went to
Bora Bora, and we took a total gym.
And we took a total gym with us over there.
We even, when we were rehearsing for our wedding, I played a joke on him. He didn't know we were going to do this, and I had 2 total gyms waiting for rehearsal, and the pastor says, he goes, your wife wants to do something different, and shows him the total gym. He goes, you're supposed to get on the total gyms and exchange your vows.
We're starting to run toward the end of time. Chuck, I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up these Chuck Norris facts that everybody is so fond of talking about. There are so many of these Chuck Norris facts. You have to have a favorite, right?
Well, I have to say, when I did Expectable 2 with Sly Stallone, he says, your facts are everywhere. I said, yeah. He said, well, then put one in, why don't we put one in a scene? And I said, well, okay. And so Gina walks up and says, I have the perfect scene, fact to put in there. He says, okay, let's do it. So anyway, we start filming the scene. And when we start the scene, Sly said, I heard that you were bitten by a large cobra. I said, yep, that is true. And after 5 days of agonizing pain, the cobra died finally. But I have to tell you, truly, I did get bitten here in Dallas.
By a rattlesnake.
I was doing a scene on Walker, Texas Ranger, out in the sea, out in the forest, and my partner, an Indian man, and I, so we're going to see who can get the biggest
the rattles on the snake.
Rattlesnakes on the rattle. So anyway, the rattler puts the snake down there. So I walk up and I grab him by the neck, pull him up, and I count, and I got 18 rattles. So I wound up beating my partner for it. I lay it back down. I get it back to the Wrangler. He says, okay, let's try it again. My director.
This was actually this was in the scene. This was all for the scene. You guys were doing a contest.
Oh yeah, this is all part of the scene. So the director said, let's try it one more time. So I walk up and I try to grab him by the neck again. I grab and he bites me right in the nail. And blood went flying everywhere. And my director takes off running. I said, well, and so I go to the Wrangler. I says, do you think I ought to go to the doctor? And he says, it wouldn't be a bad idea. So anyway, I do. I jump in. I go to the hospital, and they go through it all, and they check, and they said, no, luckily, there's none in there. I said, well, good. So, but anyway, it's things like that that I had such a great, I mean, even though you think that it would be bad, it was great, that it was a great show that we did on that.
I just wanted to say one thing. The Chuck Norris fact started about 12 years ago, and now the young people call them the Chuck Norris memes. When those started, my husband, he was definitely complimented by it, but he never dreamed in a million years that they would last as long as they did. But if you ask him, he says that he considers it a great compliment to him because it's really reconnected him to all the young people around the world. And he takes it really seriously because it's such an honor, and because we work with at-risk kids here in Texas. I think y'all know that. We work with at-risk children.
fact, I got a call from,
General Neller, who's now the Commandant of the Marine Corps.
yeah, to come to
He wanted him to come to Iraq in 2006
to
and
Iraq
visit with the troops.
to visit with the military over there. Says they're driving me crazy. They're all calling and wanting you to come over there.
Said that all these Chuck Norris facts are everywhere.
Yeah, so I said I'd be glad to do that as long as I can really go out to all the camps and see all of them. He said we'll make that happen. So in 2006, I fly over there and I go around and I start meeting all the different branches.
It was called a trip. It was called a Purple Tour.
Navy,
so
Air Force,
all
Marines,
branches.
all of them. And I got a chance to take pictures with over 20,000 of them at 2006, and it was incredible. And then in 2007, I called and I said, I'll come back again. So I went back in 2007. So I go over there and meeting everybody again, and I'm taking a picture with them. Now there's a group of Marines, about a whole long line of Marines. And the Marine walks up, instead of wanting me to do this, taking a picture, he says, get me in a chokehold. I said, oh man, so I get him in a chokehold, they take the picture, and he walks off. Next Marine comes up, get me in a chokehold. So now every Marine walks up, I got to put him in a chokehold. This goes on until the 34th one. He walks up, I get him in a chokehold. Well, the cameraman has to make a change of film. So I'm holding him in the chokehold, and I kind of lay my head down on his chest. He goes unconscious. He lays down on the ground. Now all of his buddies are taking pictures of it. And anyway, I'm down there, bring him loose. He finally comes to and he walks up. I says, that's it. No more chokehold, guys. That's it. But he became famous. He became famous all over the Marine about being choked by me. So, but it was really great.
Well, now, Chuck, this has been great. This has been wonderful story time with you and everything, but you've been hogging all this air, and your wonderful wife, I've got to ask her, I've been getting pretty thirsty looking at this bottle of water across my field of vision from Chuck. What is, I think his signature is on it. What is this?
Can I tell this story?
Yeah, you tell him. Go ahead.
Has anybody got to see the Seaforce water yet out in the stores? Have y'all been keeping up with this?
And this is the hat she makes me wear.
So
this is her thing. This is her woman's deal. This is her deal. You girls can understand.
Okay. Well, anyway, Seaforce natural artesian water. Literally, God has blessed us unbelievably. This water comes right off our ranch in Navasota, Texas. It is 23,000-year-old Ice Age water. We have an unlimited source, and we've been looking for ways that we could continue to fund our Kickstart Kids program.
Let me just say one thing.
No!
We're playing here. He says, there used to be mountains in here.
No, they were volcanoes. So if you're going to tell the story, tell it right.
Why weren't we doing this the whole time? This is great.
Anyway, we're looking for ways to be able to fund our Kickstart Kids program like what Paul Newman has done with Newman's Own. And so God really brought this water. So we built a 45,000 square foot bottling facility across the street from our ranch, and we're bottled at the source. We're a premium water at a mid-premium price that everyone can afford. I'm really picky about my water. This water is naturally high in pH. It's tested as high as 9.1, but this is at a price point that everyone can afford. I mean, a retail of this on sale in H-E-B would be like 99 cents. So if y'all, I know everybody in here has a heart for kids. They're our future. Children are our future, and everybody helps everybody in Texas. So if you feel led, please pick up a bottle and just know that it's going to go to a really good cause. And we just thank you for that. Thank you for the love. We love Texas. We love Texas.
I started this program 25 years ago, Kickstart Kids. Being a martial art teacher for many years back in the 60s, you know, and working with thousands of young kids, but these are kids whose parents could afford to bring their kids to my school. I thought, what about the millions of kids who cannot afford it? And so anyway, in my mind, I'm thinking, if I could implement this into a school as part of the program in the schools, you know, that way the kids didn't have to pay for it and all this stuff here. And so I went to the board and I said, what do you think about implementing like this? And they said, that will never happen.
They thought it would make bad kids worse.
But luckily for me, I helped George H.W. Bush become president. I traveled around him, and so we became good friends. So one day I'm in Washington, D.C., and he says, do you have any plans besides your movies and my training? I said, well, now that you mention it, I wanted to start a program in the schools, putting kids in there, and so they can get help, so the martial arts will help them grow in the right direction. And so he said, why haven't you done that? I said, the Board of Education said that will never happen. He says, I can take care of that. He says, where do you want to start? I says, somewhere in Texas. He says, well, let's start in Houston. So we started in Houston, and with one school, and then went to 1 to 4, and now we have 62 schools. We have graduated 100,000 kids.
So the water ties in with the foundation, and that's next to our family. And by the way, we have 7 kids, yours, mine, and ours, and 13 grandchildren. So next to our family, we really believe that the foundation is our mission in life.
Yeah, and our biggest work, you know, we have an instructor in every school. And so finding the right instructors to put those students in there. And anyway, we had 30 out of our kids, most of our kids went on to university. And I mean, MIT, it's Harvard, all over. And when someone came back, 30 of them came back and said, we would like to teach and kickstart kids.
Now we're 4th generation.
And now these are high-grown colleges. I mean, university leaders. And I said, really? You really do? I mean, you know, you're only gonna get 30, 40,000 a year when you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars in your job. He says, yes, but you saved my life. And I want to save other lives. So the money's not important to me.
Chuck, we've run a little bit over time, but I think it was worth it, to be honest, if you ask me.
Yeah. I want to thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Just to let everybody know, Chuck is going to be back over at his table for autographs.